Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of the 12th Asia Matters Business Summit Cork on the future of food and agribusiness. We had a great day yesterday in Tagus, Moore Park, with the Dairy Industry Roundtable, and we also had the pleasure of visiting Middleton Distillery, celebrating its 200-year-old anniversary. We had a wonderful dinner last night, where Ambassador Zhao, who's kindly with us today, advised us that the Chinese character for Cork means, did you say, Ambassador, science and restraint. And of course, as everybody knows, Cork people are well known for restrained personalities, so thank you so much. I know most people here. For those I don't know, my name is Martin Murray. I'm the Executive Director of Asia Matters. It's Ireland's only Asia think tank. Hard to imagine, we established, Alan, 14 years ago, established by the late Dr. Tom Hardiman, Chairman Alan Dukes, who's with us today. Very appropriate for this summit, former Minister for Agriculture, and myself. It's also hard to imagine this is our 12th annual Cork Summit, which, of course, as a Corkonian, I'm very pleased with. Essentially, we're a member organisation. We're committed to developing dynamic business relations between Asia and Ireland to really drive trade. Our work is in FDI, where we seek to replicate with Asia Ireland's excellent success with the US, and in exports, where we introduce Irish companies to the right partners to enter and scale in Asian markets. We overcome the lack of shared language, history, and diaspora presence by building informed understanding, mutual respect, and trust. To work with private and public sector leaders on both sides to build Ireland's future with Asia together on a win-win basis. That's everything we do. People are often surprised, in fact, that we work with American firms already in Ireland. And the purpose there is to help American companies here with an EMEA remit to compete internally, to add an extra A to become EMEAA. Of course, they should be doing business with Asia, and many are. Clearly, it's more challenging now in current circumstances. Obviously, the transatlantic trade war and US imposition of EU tariffs pose an essential threat to the Irish economy. It's no longer business as usual, and it's a wake-up call for us all. A CEO of one of our member companies told me recently that apparently I said a decade ago, and you all understand how scary it is when someone says to you, do you remember what you said a decade ago? Thankfully, it wasn't too bad. I said that a country, like a company, cannot be overly dependent on just a few customers. Your standard eggs in one basket, and sadly, we're now seeing the dangers of this. Risk is part of life and business, clearly. The only question is how we manage and control it. Across government and business in Ireland and in the European Union and across Asian governments, we keep hearing one word consistently, and that is diversify. Ireland is now poised to rapidly accelerate global trade diversification beyond our legacy markets, with Asia top priority. So why does Asia matter? Asia matters because the story of this century is the rise of Asia. If the 8 billion people in the world population were a village of 100 people, 5 would be American, 9 would be European. Technically, Ireland doesn't even exist. And 60 would be Asian. So how can we do business and call ourselves global business people if we're ignoring 60% of the world's population? Today, the Asian share of global GDP, this is the broader Asia, is 54%, whereas Europe and North America combined is only 33%. Asia is at the forefront of global change, economically, technologically, and demographically. For Ireland, deeper engagement with Asia is not just an opportunity, it's a necessity. As an open, globalized economy, our future competitiveness depends on building stronger, more resilient ties with the world's most dynamic region. Clearly, the center of the world's economic gravity has already shifted to Asia. Recently, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer says that the City of London is the natural home for Chinese money. His words, not mine, he said it directly. Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, says that the EU must upgrade trade agreements with key global regions and countries, and she used the example as a top priority to finalise a CEPA with Indonesia, the economic giant of ASEAN with a population of 282 million, the fourth largest country in the world. And in terms of transparency, I'm happy to say that I happen to be the Honorary Consul of Indonesia here in Ireland for the last decade. The growth in Asia-Ireland trade is significant, with two-way trade with China now at 36 billion and with Japan at 22.5 billion. A month ago, Asia Matters held a significant summit in Limerick, and delighted that Brendan Troy and Eileen Coleman are with us today. And this was termed Asia Now, the new dynamics of global business. There were three key takeaways that I wanted to share with you with a call to action from the summit. As James O'Connor TD, who's kindly joining us again today, put it, Asia is now, it's not the future. For the past 15 years, Asian countries have consistently been the primary drivers of growth in the global economy, with 4.9% growth now projected, compared with 1.1% for the Eurozone and 1.3% for the US. Asian economies offer a young and educated workforce, rapidly expanding consumer markets, and an open and collaborative approach to partnership. Ireland is incredibly well positioned. We have a solid foundation of existing business ties. We've healthy diplomatic relations, an open, innovative, business-minded culture, and a global supply chain infrastructure already embedded in key regions, like here in Cork. For Asian economies, Ireland is the English-speaking window into an EU market of 550 million. To exploit the current window of opportunity, Ireland needs a structural shift to modernise our economy, but also our thinking, as we did in the late 80s and 90s. For those of you not born in the late 80s and 90s, please ask your older siblings or indeed your parents. Just as strategic programs for reskilling and investment then enabled a successful shift from a dependency on the British economy, Ireland now needs to invest in both hard skills and soft skills to create a financial structure to embrace the significant capital pools in Asian sovereign wealth funds, poised to invest in the deep tech in which Ireland excels, and also at a softer level, to build awareness across government and business to create this informed understanding of the scale of opportunity in Asia and the cultural nuances to build trust and partnership. We've a very exciting program of expert speakers today on the future of food and agribusiness and the business partnership opportunities. I normally use Asian expressions, of course, Asia Matters, but today let me close with my favorite American expression. When you're faced with choice, there are only three kinds of people in this world. There are people who make things happen, people who let things happen, and people who wonder what the hell happened. Okay? And it's your choice. Let me give my sincere thanks from the Asia Matters team to our partners, Munster Technological University, Cork County Council, along with Dairy Industry Ireland, AgTech Ireland, the Irish Whisky Association, and Cork Chamber. I will also be your MC for today, so let me now call upon Gerard Donovan, the Head of Faculty of Business and Humanities here in MTU, for his opening remarks on the role of universities in equipping future leaders for agri-food systems, after which we'll hear directly the key remarks by Moira Murrell, Chief Executive, Cork County Council, on the role of local government in supporting and promoting the food sector. Gerard. Ladies and gentlemen, Gerard Donovan.
Thanks, Martin. Good morning, and you're all very welcome to MTU. You're in the Rory Gallagher Theatre. For people that don't know who Rory Gallagher was, he was the first Irish rock star and probably the greatest guitarist ever. So if you don't know who that person is, Google or YouTube and you'll learn all about him. Actually, unfortunately, one of his last performances actually was in MTU in our atrium, and he was a big supporter of Irish folk and the Cork Folk Festival. So we aptly named this wonderful theatre after him. So delighted that you're all here, delighted to, I suppose, collaborate and partner with Cork County Council and Asia Matters. As Martin said, we're in our 12th year, hard to believe how the years go by, but wonderful that we've continued to have this event in Cork annually. So I've been asked to speak about the role of universities in equipping future leaders for agri-food systems. So as we look ahead to the world, we must feed 10 billion people by 2050. The question is no longer just about producing more food, it's about producing more food that's sustainable, equitable, and intelligently. And this transformation must be led by a new generation of thinkers, doers, and change makers. Leaders who understand the interconnected challenges of agriculture, nutrition, climate, economics, and justice. So what is the role of universities in this? First and foremost, universities must go beyond traditional academic delivery. We must cultivate thinkers. Future leaders need to understand not only ergonomy, but also the value chains, policy environments, consumer behavior, and the environmental impacts of food systems. This means interdisciplinary curricula that blends agricultural science with data science, economics, environmental studies, and social justice. An example of this is a postgraduate diploma in innovative and sustainable agriculture we run here at MTU, and also a recently launched program in sustainable butchery and gastronomy. Second, universities are engines of innovation. We must direct that engine towards solutions that are scalable, inclusive, and climate smart. This means supporting not just technological breakthroughs like drought-resistant crops or precision agriculture, but also social innovations. So for example, education and food literacy programs at our schools, which would include farm-to-school programs, youth agri-entrepreneurship programs, and that would result in long-term benefits of informed eaters and sustainable producers. Third, our university research should not live in academic journals alone. It must be co-created with farmers, communities, and policymakers, and designed for real-world impact. So, for example, MTU led a project called Smart Rural, where we worked with farmers on using technology for effective and efficient farming. Fourth, universities must intentionally nurture leadership. That means experiential learning, and that means internships on farms and in food startups, immersion in rural development projects, and exposure to international forums and policy-making spaces. Future leaders must be both technically grounded and ethically guided. Here at MTU, we have wonderful entrepreneurship modules on our award-winning Student Inc. program, and also food entrepreneurs in the Rubicon and in the Tom Green incubators. Our agricultural program sends students on international placements annually. Fifth, universities need to ensure that a just agri-food system is built on equitable foundations, ensuring rural youth, minorities, and women are included. Scholarships, outreach, role models, and inclusive pedagogy are essential tools in this mission. The agri-food systems of tomorrow will not be built by chance. They will be shaped by the values, knowledge, and courage of those we educate in our universities. At MTU, we have a lot of expertise related to this topic, from dedicated programs, customized learning, startups, research centers with impactful research that is contributing to the agri-food systems for the future. And some examples of this are the IMAR Research Center at MTU, specializing in engineering, agri-tech, and ICT technologies, where the Agri-Tech Ireland cluster is based. We also have the Nutri Research Center, which focuses on delivering innovative solutions to global challenges in food, nutrition, and health. And we also have the BioExplore Research Group, focusing on bioanalysis, diagnostics, food fermentation, food pathogens, animal production, food production, cell biology, and bacterial viruses and animal health. So you can see we're doing a lot here. And just an example, I suppose, of the industry and academic collaboration of one of the big projects that we're doing is called Rural Bioreef Farmers Project. It's an €8.7 million project with 19 partners across Europe, including MTU, Carberry, and Barry Rowe. And its aim is to develop farm-based biofineries that convert grass and other biomass into valuable products like protein, bio-based packaging, and energy. So if you'd like to learn more about the research here at MTU, and if you'd like to collaborate, you can visit mtu.ie/research or connect with myself, or I see Dave Goulding or Declan O'Connor, my colleagues in the audience here, or who are very research active, and we'd be delighted to connect with you and collaborate. Finally, I would like to thank Asia Matters again for collaborating with us, and I look forward to some wonderful keynote and panel discussions, and more importantly, learning a lot throughout the day. Thank you.
Minister, Ambassador, elected members of Gwynúisle Goléir, is lá all in a County Corky agus de gná on Greenig Tanov. So you're very welcome to the County of Cork this morning, and we're very pleased to support the summit on this beautiful morning. And for our guests among us, this is a typical morning in Cork with the sun shining. I suppose we are delighted to support this summit, and I think it's really important that a platform within the county here is provided to allow consideration and discussion around some of the very significant challenges and opportunities here into the future. And from our perspective as a county, and because you're in Cork, you're going to have to listen a little bit about Cork now, it's a very natural fit for us here in the county as well. The food ecosystem in the county here in Cork is very strong. It's very connected. Reputation is vital and quality essential. If we think a little bit about that ecosystem, and I know I've gone a little bit off script because I was asked to talk about the County Council, but it's impossible to talk about local authority without talking about the county and its ecosystem. Our dairy and beef producers across this region have the highest output from agriculture, but it's not just about output. I'm sure you know we're all very much aware in this room that quality is king in relation to that. We have so many really strong indigenous multinationals in the dairying sector, if I call them that, who are operating so successfully in the Asian market. I'm going to create the sin now of naming some of those, but of course we've the Dairy Gold, Carberry, Arnua, Kerry, operating so successfully. Fish production is a very, very important part of our ecosystem here. Yes, there are challenges, but it forms a very, very important part of how we define our food ecosystem in Cork. Castletown Bear, you know, the largest whitefish port. We have the fish hubs of Union Hall, Kinsale, Cove and Ballycotton, to name some of the key ones. With 1,200 kilometres of coastline, that sector to us is really, really important. We have long established and we've newly established distilleries. And indeed, the whole distillery production has become a really important part of our food ecosystem here in this part of the country. I know you will have been to Middleton Distillery. We also have a number right across the county. I know later on Kinsale are forming part of the discussion, as indeed our West Cork Distillery, and of course we've Clonakilty. And I also note this morning we have from across the border, we have Skellig Distillery as well. So I suppose the important thing to state in relation to these distilleries is that while they have a huge global reach and a huge global opportunity to sell into markets, they do that with a very local ethos, and many of them contributing very, very importantly and strongly into our rural economies here across the county. The artisan food sector, I suppose when you do think of Cork and when you do think of this part of the country, you know, it's synonymous with artisan food production. Again, playing to that very strong quality food. Some of our artisan food producers, they operate within the food hubs. Some of them, indeed, you know, linking in with our local enterprise offices, who are really important for these artisan producers to allow their scaling up and the exportation into the global markets and allowing that and working with them around that. I know Mark mentioned me this morning, I think there's some minor consideration around the percentage of artisan food producers are in the county, but I think it's fair to say that well over 2/3 of the artisan production across the country is based here in Cork. So I suppose just listening to the previous contribution here as well, obviously research and technology is the future, and as we face the challenges, it's really important that research, development, technological development around food. And I know yesterday there would have been a visit to Moore Park, you know, world class, and I say that very easily. It is world class what is being done there. You put within that ecosystem the MTU here and across the city, the UCC. You can see between the research centres that grow around that there's a very strong emphasis and a very strong investment into food and next generation food and food production here in Cork. I'm very happy also to see on the agenda today that link between food and tourism. As a local authority and our comrades, and I see Brian is here from Fall to Ireland, and indeed our communities, you know, the provision of food trails, you know, food festivals. That's all about telling our story around food production. It's about quality. It's about the produce and having pride in our produce. And that investment is really important for us as a county. And indeed, I think the collective, and you may have heard of this, but I'm sure Brian will talk later about it, Cork collectively is making a bid for the World Gastronomical Capital for 2030. So all the partners involved across public, private and state coming together to get that brand for Cork. So yes, we have many challenges in the whole area of food. And as I say, it's very important that there is a platform and a safe platform for us to discuss those matters here as part of this summit. And in conclusion, I also want to say that our engagement with our Asian comrades is very important to us. We have strong relationships built up through many years. And indeed, summits like this through Asia Matters, and I want to thank both Alan and Mark for the work that you do, is very important to ensure that enduring relationship continues to grow and develop. So, Grev Mila Mila Machagrev, thank you very much.
Thank you, Moira. Grev Mila Machagrev. So, just to acknowledge as well that, forgive me, Ibu Dana, I call you Ibu Dana, the Deputy Head of Mission of the Indonesian Embassy has joined us, Mrs. Sahadat Donatirin. I still call you Ibu Dana. Ibu Dana, do you want to stand up so people can see who you are? So you may welcome her, please. So, and I know there were some people from the dairy sector yesterday said, Ibu Dana, that they were also coming here today to specifically talk with you, because they have big investments in Indonesia and big plans. So please make time to talk with Ibu Dana and her colleague, Javiera, after. So just to, I suppose, go back on what Moira said, we will be having a discussion on food tourism later with Brian O'Flynn, who's the head of Ireland's Ancient East in Fall to Ireland. And that discussion will come up, the tourism, the food plan, and also the bid. And what I particularly like, just to give you a heads up, Brian will forgive me for saying so. Do you know what Brian said he particularly wants to focus on? He particularly wants to focus on what's missing, what do we not have to turn this bid into reality. And I particularly like his very humble attitude. He said, you know, like everywhere in the world, Ireland is good at telling people how good we are, but what are we bad at? What do we need to improve? What do we need to do better to move to the next higher level? So that'll be a key focus of the conversation later on, and I'm looking forward to hearing their answers, because they're the experts, and you know, it'll be quite interesting.